say games are played on the field and not on paper, and that's a good thing. Because if this one were played on paper, it might get ugly, but you never know what's going to happen. Welcome to the Big House, home of the Michigan Wolverines. As we'll see a squad from the Big 12, the Colorado Buffaloes, taking on one of the participants from last year's playoff, the Michigan Wolverines. For EA Sports College Football, I'm Reese Davis, here with David Pollack and Jesse Palmer. Guys, let's get this thing rolling. The Buffaloes will boot it away to start the game. And it'll be a touchback. The ball will come out to the 25-yard line. They've got the big fellas out there. A 3 tight end look on 1st and 10. Here comes the option. He never had a chance to get it to the edge, and first play of the game, and you're already behind the sticks. After getting knocked back to open this drive, it's 2nd and 12. Unloads quickly. This junior making his presence felt and making the stop after a short gain. While the Big Ten has expanded with this massive continent-wide geographical footprint, the Big 12 has been really shrewd in positioning and maneuvering for survival, and they look for opportunities to win on the field like they'll have today.
Yeah, and the Big Ten's kind of taking what the Big Ten wants and expanding and not really worried about anybody else. So if I'm the Big 12, I'm like, yeah, you ain't worried about me, but you're going to worry about me today and on the field, and I can make a statement and prove to some of the true blue bloods in the Big Ten.
I just love the stylistic matchup in this one too, right? You think about the Big Ten running the football, defense, physical, and then Big 12 wide open, up-tempo, air raid offense. This one's going to be fun.
Working well behind the sticks on 2nd down. Looking for a gap. It's Marshall. Tackle is made at the 44, but he picked up 10 yards and enough for a 1st down.
And, you know, big chunks like this don't happen unless you commit to the run game. You got to get those big boys up front into the game, understanding I want to knock people off the football, create some holes like you do here for my running back, make the game easy.
And he's able to bounce off one tackle for a solid pickup. Sometimes it's not about a fancy play design. It's about just getting him the ball and letting him play.
Especially nowadays with running backs being so good out of the backfield. You know they're going to catch it, and there's so many ways to use them. But exactly, get it to him, let him break tackles, let him make plays. Easy decision.
It's just so nice as a coaching staff when you've got quarterbacks who make good decisions. And on a 2nd and short play, you're throwing it, you're trying to catch the defense napping, you might take a shot, nothing there. Go get it yourself. Make the right decision to keep it, not panic, get you a fresh set of downs.
That's what I'm talking about. That is how you close. And when a guy's going to make a catch, you make sure he doesn't make it. Physicality, using your pads, running through them. And guess what? Not only this play does he feel it, next time he tries to go over the middle or feels footsteps, this will pay dividends.
And maybe he'll get back to the line of scrimmage, but no more than that.
Well, you love to see that from the defense, right? It's like bend, don't break. They've given up a bunch of plays on this drive, but now that they're getting down close to field goal range, you're seeing them start to stiffen up.
Yeah, and plays don't matter anymore. Yards don't matter. All that matters with these defenses now.
Looking for the end zone. Oh, he can't hang on to the football. A big play sitting right there for the taking, and they can't get it done early in this one. And on 4th down, they'll try to salvage the drive with a field goal. And the try is no good. After the miss, no change in the score.
And sometimes I just feel like 4th down, man, just go for it every time. Like, the field goal miss, make rate. And listen, kickers have improved the last couple of years, but you left some points off the scoreboard there.
This crowd, full throat, splitting the eardrums and letting them know it's going to be a long day. Taking a shot on the first play. And the DB forcing the incomplete pass with the deflection.
That's just a better job by the defender. He knew he was going to get challenged in this game. He knew these receivers had speed and they were going to test him. Nice job by that DB knocking it away.
Lewis wants to pass. And it'll be incomplete. This is some physical pass defense.
Well, they were trying to sneak him out of the backfield that time into the passing game, but that did not fool anybody on defense. What a hit, forcing that incompletion.
More than 100,000 making their presence felt. A huge third down here in the big house. He's looking to throw. Incomplete as the screen goes right through his hands, and it'll be fourth down.
They just have not been able to get this guy going. They've thrown it to him over and over again here in the first quarter, and QB and him just not able to link up. The defense knew that was where this guy was going to be looking, but these two, they've got to find a way to get on the same page.
Punt is in the air on fourth down. Here's the return. He's got great speed. They'll put a stop to that return at about the 37-yard line. This drive will get started from the 37-yard line. He wastes no time and comes out throwing. Sets up the screen. Finds enough room to get it up to the 44 before he's knocked out of bounds.
You know, it's funny. I know running backs oftentimes are afterthoughts when it comes to the passing game, but when you think about it, this guy's been making people miss his entire life taking handoffs. So why wouldn't you try to get him involved in the passing game as well? You just saw in that last play how dangerous he is after the catch.
Nowhere close on that one as he got drilled trying to deliver the football, and now they face third down. The Wolverines are at the line looking to convert on third and short. Grabbed behind the line. It's Fleming. He'll be stopped about 2 yards short of a first down.
One of the things I love about this defense is they just have such great awareness, and they're always communicating. They understood the down and distance. They knew exactly what they needed to do to make the tackle to force the punt. That is so well done.
Going for the marker on the ground. He's not going to get there. Stopped short on fourth down.
And this offense choose to be aggressive. Listen, once you start getting to midfield, you see most offenses be aggressive, and they took their chance, and they failed. Now, early in the game, a chance to create momentum, to swing back to the other side of the football field.
From the gun, the running back has it. He stopped at the 32, picks up 10 on the play and gets the first down.
Wow, the running back there showing you his skill set as he's able to rip off that one for a first down.
Tries to do it himself on the draw. They get him stopped at the 26, but not before he picks up 5 yards.
Offensive linemen love when you sneak in draws, when you sneak in screens. It holds these defensive linemen accountable. You want to rush the quarterback, you want to fly upfield every single play, we'll sneak right behind you and get some yardage.
The give to the back. And he never had a chance, just stopped cold as soon as he got it.
And that play shows you really what this defense is about. It's a difficult one to attack. They're really good. One of the best in the country. They come at you from all angles. So I'm interested to watch. How do you mix up the play calling? How do you keep the defense off balance? Because they are a good one.
Lewis to throw. Quick strike complete. Got enough to move the sticks. First down from the 17. And the Buffaloes are moving quickly down the field. Trying to run, it's Price. Wrestled down at the 8-yard line as they threaten deep in the red zone.
Listen, you got to be able to know what play to call and what hole to go through. Like the line blocks for a certain hole. Good job getting through the hole, getting what was blocked, getting a nice positive gain, making your situation really good on the next down.
Going to work on second down in the red zone, and still some ground to cover to pick up that first down. Movement on the offensive line. That's going to be a false start, and they'll walk it back. So the decision has been made, and the coach will take the penalty. Here comes the offense on second down. Got it behind the line. It's Miller. And this one will be stopped for no gain.
Getting suffocated right away. How about the DB? Just seeing that initially, pulling the trigger, getting to him, get him on the ground, get the tackle for a loss.
As they get set to snap it, time winding down here in the quarter. He'll ride his man on the option. Now the pitch. And the fourth option there is to throw it in reverse, and that's what happened on that one. Sometimes you see the offenses sort of settle in, find areas to probe after that first quarter. Now on fourth down, they'll settle for a field goal try. This whole place going to see if this kicker can operate in the sea of noise. Right down the boulevard. And that'll put the first points of the game on the board. It's 3-0.
And you want a touchdown and you want to be aggressive, but man, right down the middle, that obviously gives me some confidence down the road that I can trust this guy.
He'll bring it out from inside his own 10. He was looking for more running room, but none to be found as he stopped at the 23. This drive opens up at the 23-yard line. Coming out on first down with the play fake. Almost had the completion, just missed it.
And that's one the offense just needs to be able to hit, right? That's a completion they should be able to hit in their sleep. Receivers got to do a better job.
Behind the chains now on second and long. They'll move the wide receiver. Looking downfield, it's Underwood. Flips it out to the back. Turning it on!
One of the things you love about this running back is not only can he run between the tackles, but he's also a weapon in this offense, catching the football.
And the Wolverines come to the line on third and short, looking to keep the drive moving. They'll try to get it through the air. And the pass rush is effective, and they tackle him at the 19.
And that was a big objective for this defense coming into the game. Talking to coaches, we want to keep him in the pocket. We don't want him to use his wheels. He's fast, he's elusive, can make big plays. Nice job by the defense keeping him in the pocket and getting the sack.
Makes a move. That's a perfect example of not settling for a fair catch. Pick up whatever yardage you can and help out the offense. So the first play of the drive starting here from the 45. Takes a handoff. It's Price. And he'll find enough running room to get it just short of midfield at the 49.
And that's a really nice play. It's impressive. Once first down and the defense thinks you might be running the football, you still can line up. You can get some movement at the point of attack and find a little crease for your running back.
After the productive first down play, it's 2nd and 6. Draw play, quarterback keeps it. He's brought down, but it'll be enough for a first down.
It's got to feel good as an offense knowing that early in the drive you can turn around, hand it off, get a push up front, and go get positive yardage.
Now on first down from the 43-yard line. Lewis wants to pass. Intercepted. Big play stops the drive. Didn't really get a chance to get started on that return, but he has set him up at the 41-yard line. Offense changing the play. Toss sweep right. Trying to take it back. Found enough room to get it into enemy territory. They're down at the 43-yard line. 3 tight ends in the formation on 1st and 10. They'll run the option. Find some fresh air. And he keeps it himself. A good decision there, and it gives this offense a first down.
Man, this defense has to be better. You have to stop the first part of the option, and that is the quarterback, and he gets loose.
Oh, he's got some space. Big pickup on the ground here to keep this drive moving and give them a first down.
Well, obviously the offense went 3 and out on their last drive. They're having a little bit more success here. That was a nice run, and I think that's the key, guys. If they're able to run the football, they're going to be able to stay on the field. And I think that's something you want to think more about if you're...
Got enough space, and he rolls into the house. Touchdown, Wolverine.
This offense is so good. Man, they can hurt you in so many different ways, and they do it so quick, so explosive. They can put small drives together, big drives together. They've really had a great year, and that's why they're a top 10 offense.
And let's check in with Kevin Connors in the studio. Kevin?
Boys, if it's happening in college football, we've got eyes on it. Check this out. Florida Atlantic has the lead right now, but if this team has taught us anything over the years, it's that no lead is safe there in Boca Raton. They're up by 11 over FIU. We'll circle back. If anything big happens, you should know about it.
Thanks for the update on that one, Kevin. Let us know when it goes final. The drive starts from their own 25-yard line. They'll give it to the back. And how about that play by that giant, that mountain of a man on the defensive front?
This offense has really struggled, and I think you're just waiting for one play, one explosive play to happen to hopefully galvanize you a bit offensively. That's not the case, and there, they try to run the football in the first play of the drive, and it gets absolutely blown up for a loss.
And listen, the offensive line has to do their job, but a really good job by the running back, understanding where his hole is. Go hit it, get the first down, don't mess around. Nice job following his hole, getting positive yards.
The inside handoff. Not a whole lot of room there. 3 yards maybe, 2nd and 7.
The run game just has not been working for this offense all game long. We saw it on that last play as well. Just not getting enough push up front on the offensive line. They haven't been physical enough.
Caught near the sticks. It's Page. All down, but he has enough to move the chains.
First job for the QB a lot of times. Look at those safeties. Is it man or is it zone? Nice job. You could tell right away. He saw it was zone, understood where to go with the football, and that's why this offense had a positive game right away.
And he'll pick up 1. It brings up 2nd and 9. We're at the 2-minute timeout. It's been a good one so far. Opportunity for this offense perhaps to take the lead before halftime. Didn't get much on first down. It's 2nd and 9. Holds and fires complete to the right. Not much running room there thanks to this senior defender.
Ooh, and that was close for the offense. They try to go wide receiver screen. They're counting on that receiver beating that defender. Wasn't able to make a miss that time, but if I'm on offense, I'm going back to that play later.
Now facing a 3rd and long. He got a little antsy at the line of scrimmage, and they'll move him back. The officials offer the deal, and the coach accepts it. They will take the penalty. Big noise, big house, trying to rile up this Michigan defense on third down. Lewis to throw. Looking for space to the left. Didn't have anything working and just had to throw it away on third down.
Every defense in the country talks about getting offenses in predictable third and long situations where I can bring on more speedsters and I know the pass is coming so I can have more success.
Punt is in the air. And the return man reaches the end of the line, and down he goes. First play of this drive comes from the 35-yard line. Going right to work up top. Under fire. Quarterback feeling the pressure, and down he goes at the 22.
I love the defensive effort there. They didn't get him right away. They stayed after him. He was scrambling, going backwards. They get the sack on the first play of the drive.
The Wolverines with a long way to go after the loss on the last play. The sure hands, it's Marshall. Bounced off his feet.
Yeah, and you see running backs in today's football, they play wide receiver basically for you, but you got to find a guy that you can throw it to, and you know he's going to catch the ball consistently.
And the Wolverines need their binoculars to find that line to gain here on third down. Under fire. Snagged in the middle. It's Huffman. Tackle is made at the 38, and let's see just how daring they'll be on fourth down. Man down on the play as the officials take a break to let him be checked out. The Wolverines will try to pin them back with the punt. This will be the second time they've had to kick it away. And the coverage team gets the returner on the ground. Here we go. They'll try to get something on the board here in the final minute of the first half. Trying to beat him to the corner on the right. They'll pick up 4, second and 6 coming.
And I kind of like how the running back didn't mess around. Like, just get downhill when you see an opening. A lot of times they close so fast, man. Be decisive, stick your foot in the ground, pick up 3 to 4, and we are not going to complain.
On the move, it's Price. And a really short game before he gets a whole bunch of company from the defense. We played 2 quarters here. Time to go to Kevin Connors in our halftime update. And the Wolverines will kick it away first, and we'll start the second half. And he'll just take a knee, and this drive will start at the 25. They'll put this one in play. First snap of the drive from the 25. They'll open the second half with a run. Runs ahead and powers his way for 4 yards out to the 30. Halfway there on first down, it's 2nd and 5. The draw draws nothing except a swarm of tacklers. He's stopped immediately.
Well, this running back has had a pretty good day so far in this game, and I think the key right now is for the defense to find a way to slow him down. He had a good run 2 plays ago. The defense gets the TFL on this one. I think you got to change up your fronts defensively and try to give this offensive line different alignment.
Quarterback feeling the pressure, and down he goes in the 22.
Oftentimes with play action, you're asking the quarterback to hold on to the ball a bit longer, and you're asking this offensive line to hold up and pass pro a bit longer. Against this athletic front seven on defense, it's going to be tough.
Now a fair catch is called for and made just shy of midfield. So first play of the drive coming here from their own 49. Back to pass, it's Underwood. Going for it all. Almost intercepted. They took a shot on first down and just about turned the thing over.
And this offense is just, they've struggled to get in a rhythm. And I like they take a shot down the field, but interested to see how they can maybe get some easy completions for this quarterback and get him in a little bit of a rhythm.
Backed up now, here's 2nd and long. Back to pass. This one's complete. No chance to run, but still a good gain. So an example of a tight end doing a little unheralded work to set up a much better 3rd down situation.
And I like the QB here, Reese. I like the decision where I understand, let's get this football out, let's get some positive yards, and then get to 3rd down, and we can still have a better situation now because we got rid of the football and took the yards that were there.
I think moving forward on 3rd down, this offense is going to have to be a little bit more aggressive and try to throw it vertically. Start throwing the ball around the line of scrimmage against these guys. They've got way too much speed, and you saw it right there.
And they'll get him down after the return at the 27-yard line. Start at their own 27-yard line. Looks as if they didn't get it off in time. It'll be a delay of game. The quarterback just lost track of the play clock, didn't get the snap off quickly enough. They'll go to the ground. Picks his way and gets 4 out to the 27. Try to make up for some of that lost ground on 2nd down. They'll run it from the gun. Breaks into the open. He gets those chains moving, gets it out to the 42-yard line.
This running back loves running into the teeth of the defense. In between the tackles, he keeps a low pad level, and he's got some speed.
This offense will snap it from the 42 on 1st and 10. On the ground, it's Price, fighting off the defender.
Man, it's really hard to control the running game if you don't control the line of scrimmage. And how about the defensive line doing a great job attacking those guys up front, not open up lanes to run through. Nice job just nullifying that run altogether.
Motion from the back. Lewis wants to pass. Quickly out on the screen to the wide receiver. He is stopped behind the line of scrimmage. They'll lose yards on that one.
He was not fooled on that one. You know, a lot of times you want to buy space, and you throw this route really when it's off cover. But you could tell the cornerback was up, ready to come, pounce on that screen, and get the tackle for a loss.
Big noise From the gun, wants to pass. Unloads to the wideout. Intercepted. Bringing it back. And a big return after the INT sets up the offense for this possession.
And talk about being an impact player for his defense. That's now his second interception in this game. Time and time again, when they've thrown his direction, he's come up with a big play. And in a tight game like this, those 2 interceptions, that is massive for this defense.
Holding on the offense, accepted, so they'll back up and go at it again. QB draw. Running like he wants that football as he gets to the 37.
You love to see this on offense. Early in drives, getting that kind of yardage keeps you ahead of the chains.
Plenty of distance between them and the sticks here on second down. Looking to fire. Fires toward the end zone. Oh, he had it. The deep ball was there, and it just trickled through his fingers.
We've seen this offense click and hum, and it's not clicking, and something's a little bit off. And I like the deep shot down the field. At least it was an interception, but they got to find a way in this O to manufacture some first downs and some passing yards because everything's been difficult today.
The Wolverines are way behind the sticks on this 3rd and forever. Looking to throw, it's Underwood. Finds his man, it's Moore. He'll be stopped at the 32, still ground to cover if they want to convert, and 4th down is coming.
You got to love that. On defense, one of the most critical statistics out there is how do you play on 3rd down? How do you prevent the opponent from keeping drives alive? Right there, tackling the catch. You gave up the completion. What do? You set up 4th and long. You're going to get the ball back. Go get some water and celebrate.
Now he's got it all the way down to the 21-yard line, and they are threatening on 1st down. And the Wolverines come to the line with a new set of downs. Motion from the wideout. Looking to throw on 1st down. Here's the pressure. Can't find his man as he took a shot trying to deliver that football, and it'll be 2nd down.
And that was good defense again, and unfortunately we've been saying that all game long. Really, really good defense. Or, listen, you can spin on the other side. This offense has really been bad.
Plenty of work to do here on 2nd and long. And the defense holds firm. No pickup at all on that play.
Nice job by this defense playing assignment football. Somebody has to have the quarterback. Somebody has to have the pitch. And most importantly, when you get there, you got to get him on the ground. Nice job tackling by this defense.
Trying to move the sticks on 3rd down through the air. Hauls it in. He's brought down, but he's got him inside the 10. 1st and goal from the 8.
And that's a huge 3rd down conversion by the offense there. It's 3rd and long. You've got to lead, not by a lot. Quarterback, though, very poised. Reads the coverage, throws it in rhythm, and you stay on the field.
They'll try to get it in with the run. And he is stopped for no gain, and that will bring us to the end of the 3rd quarter. 1 quarter to go, and might we have the makings of a classic 4th quarter finish. Starting off this quarter close enough to smell the goal line. He'll run it up the middle, trying to pick his way to the end zone. And he's loose, and he'll take it to the house. Touchdown, Michigan! They tack a little more onto this lead, and they're on their way to a 3-0 start. And the extra point is up and good, and they have an 11-point 4th quarter lead.
And the running back gets his 2nd rushing touchdown of the game. You want to continue to feed this guy. You can tell he's got a nose for the end zone, knows how to get in there, knows how to make things happen.
Kickoff unit is out there again, and this crowd is feeling themselves after that last drive. Here he comes from inside his own 5. And the returner runs out of real estate as he goes down. try to put something together, backed up a bit, starting at their own 13. Using his legs, it's Bellamy. And he was fortunate not to lose yardage on that play, able to wedge it back to the line of scrimmage. This offense has been suffocated by a sea of maize and blue, reminiscent of what the national champion Wolverine D did in '97, holding their opponents to single digits.
And it's at every level. I mean, just a great job being physical up front, locking down in the secondary. Michigan defenses are always on point. They don't give up silly, stupid plays. They just don't do that.
Weaves his way ahead and gets 5 out to the 18-yard line.
And defensively, one of the most important things is stopping the run, being physical up front. That was too easy for this offense. You can't give up 5 and 6 yards a pop on the ground. Like, that is a recipe for disaster. They got to be more physical, get off the ball, get downhill faster.
Lewis to throw. He's got it down the middle. Stopped at about the 25-yard line, but it'll be a first down.
Well, trailing like they are right now in the fourth quarter, their execution offensively is just going to have to be at a premium. You can't afford a lot of incompletions at this point. Everybody is going to need to be on the same page moving forward.
Forges ahead, picks up about 3 to the 29.
And that run really didn't go anywhere. And a lot of times we don't focus on it enough, but how important those 5 guys are up front. To get on those defensive linemen, to try to move them out of the way, to get a run game going, it squarely falls on the shoulder of those 5 offensive linemen.
Wants to fire on second down. Caught over the middle. It's Miller. And they'll spot it at the 38, and that'll be plenty for the first down.
This is the moment for this offense to put a drive together. It doesn't matter what's happened up to the point of this game, but you're trailing right now. You've got to put some points up on the board. This is where all 11 guys need to be playing together as one.
And the Buffaloes have their offense in high gear. Wants to throw on first down. Got a man. It's Williams. They'll get him down, but not before he crosses the 50. He's down to the 49.
And this offense is going to have to be aggressive, right? Down a couple possessions. Got to continue to get these first downs. Move quick. Don't be in a hurry, but they've got to keep the accelerator down because they need some explosive plays.
From the shotgun, they'll run it. He is going nowhere. Stop at the line of scrimmage.
Awesome job up front by this defensive line, being so good at the point of attack and eating blocks, eating some double teams that allows these linebackers to run free, unencumbered, and get to the football.
Didn't get much on first down. It's 2nd and 9. On the option. Hard running there. He had all kinds of company as soon as he got it. He had to fight his way back just to get to the line of scrimmage.
When you play the option and you play this responsibility football, sometimes your eyes can get lost. They didn't on that play. Nice job honing in, getting in there quickly, getting the quarterback to the ground.
More than 100,000 making their presence felt. A huge third down here in the big house. Oh, he'll keep it on the draw. He just refused to go down, kept finding space and picked up 7. It'll be 4th and 1. Looks as if we have an injury on that last play, and we'll take a break to check him out. Down by multiple possessions, they can't come up empty on this drive in the fourth quarter. They'll go for it on fourth down. They'll run for it. The Buffaloes are stopped, but not before getting it past the sticks.
And in these situations, you're never looked at poorly, right? You can go for these situations because it's a really long field goal, so it's not a guaranteed make, or I can be aggressive offensively, and I like the choice. Be aggressive, get the first down. Nice job by the offense.
Lewis wants to pass. They'll run the screen. No, sirree, not this time. The defense was there and ready for that one.
Man, those screen passes, I want those defensive linemen to run right up the field, and I want to throw it right over their head where I got some space and I can get my running back going. That is the opposite of what happened right there. There was no space. He couldn't even get going.
That will take us to the 2-minute timeout, and not much time left for this offense to put together a miracle. So now it's second and long. DB's locked up tight on the receivers. Second down, they'll go to the air. Got his man. Didn't pick up a lot there, moving forward just a few.
This offense has their work cut out for them, man, because the coverage has been so tight. If you're not throwing to the sideline or you're not getting past the sticks, this defense is going to tackle you inbounds like they just did on that last play and bleed the clock.
On third down, he drops to throw. Lets it fly deep downfield. Oh, he dropped it. That deep ball was right on the money. You just have to make that catch.
And I understand the logic by the offense here. Obviously, you're down in this game. You're trying to claw back into it. Why not take a shot? Why not be aggressive in that time? They just can't come up with a completion.
And they'll send out the kicker to try a field goal. Big kick here. Can crawl them ever so closer to that lead, and the crowd trying to rattle this guy. The offense will stop the clock and use one of its timeouts. Down by multiple possessions, you can't come up empty on this drive. They'll go for it on fourth down. Timeout called here by the defense. It's the first one they've used this half. Coach has no choice here. The offense has to stay on the field, down multiple possessions this late. Fourth down attempt coming. And with this place rocking, the crowd forces a false start. So the decision has been made, and the coach will take the penalty. Down in the fourth quarter, it's too late for empty possessions. They'll go for it on fourth down. He'll try to throw and pick up the first down. Going back to the well, another deep ball. And that one is picked off in the end zone. He'll try to take it back.
And that's kind of what this offense has done all day. They have struggled. They haven't gotten a rhythm. They haven't found a way to get points on the scoreboard. And late in this game, when your defense and your team really needed it the most, Palmer, they throw the INT.
And it's a microcosm, too, of just how dominant the defense has been. They've always been a step ahead. They've been the more physical side. They've been making plays on the back end. That interception should seal this thing.
Now on second down, and we'll probably see another run, and that might do it if they can get a first down. And he was drilled just as he released the pass. It's incomplete.
And this offensive line's got to do a little better job, man. You've got to give your quarterback time to go through his progressions from go to 1 to 2 and then maybe make a play. And he goes off of his first target, and you could tell he did not have much time getting hit as he's trying to throw the football. You've got to protect your quarterback.
And I think as a running back, if you're this guy, you're licking your chops right now. This is what you want, right? You've got a big lead in the fourth quarter, and you're smiling because you know you are going to get the rock. They're going to force-feed you the football to try and ice this game, and he's paying him off right now. That's a really nice run.
That's a big stop for the defense. That running back has had so much success. You're down in the football game. You need to get the ball back to your offense. You create a play like this. This will get the fires going, get the juices going. Now we got to go get a few more.
And after they get him on the ground, that's going to do it. In the postgame, if you start asking about the offensive struggles, the coach is probably going to say, let me tell you something, Mr. Television Announcer. They don't ask me how I won. They ask me if I won.
That is all that matters, Mr. Television Announcer, but I think you'd want to play better on offense. You'd want to score more points, but Reese, Jesse, I want to learn as I win. I don't want to learn as I lose.
And I know you're loving this one, David, because in today's era of modern college football, with all these spread offenses and up-tempo, we're used to seeing a ton of points. We're not used to seeing a lot of games like this. I wouldn't get used to seeing it, but for this team right here, they got to love the way that they played defense. They made the plays required to win. That's a happy group all around.
That's going to do it from here. For David Pollack and Jesse Palmer, I'm Reese Davis, and you've been watching another presentation of EA Sports College Football.